AMD has launched a RX 6900 XT graphics card that has an all-in-one liquid cooler, a 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler, which generally wouldn't be anything special. Like, this is fairly normal. And for people who kept asking if that would be enough cooling, a 120mm is generally enough to cool any CPU whatsoever, or GPU rather, whatsoever. It is really surprising how easy it is to cool a graphics card with a 120mm AIO. But they are effectively strapping a 120mm liquid cooler to the 6900 XT. The difference here being that you are paying $825 extra for this cooler. Not $825 for the card itself total. $825 for just the cooler add-on. Now, obviously, the discussion about this, everyone's like, oh, you can liquid cool a whole computer for this price or whatever. Obviously, this is involved effectively to make it so that people can actually buy these cards in the first place, because you can't cool your graphics card for only $200 or $300 if you can't have the graphics card in the first place. So obviously that's a part of it, but that's so ridiculous, especially when you consider, I'm gonna go off script here a little bit. I have actually used this on my Titan RTX. NZXT has a Kraken G12 AIO block for your graphics card, where you just take off the cooler, mount this to it, strap an AIO to it. I even used the generic AIO and cooled my Titan RTX with this for a long time. For $30, and then $100 for a 120mm AIO. So at most $200, not $825. Obviously, again, the value expectation there is actually getting the card in the first place, because if you can't buy it, how much it costs doesn't matter, which has been kind of Linus's argument in the first place with all of these new GPUs. But I would be incredibly curious if there's a single actual gamer or whatever that pays for this, because Jesus Christ, the market is messed up at the moment. People expect rads to be huge because of all the bling builds with 360 rads lining every corner. Yeah, I mean, the issue is, if you're cooling multiple components in line, you need more radiators or more radiator space. And generally speaking, it seems to be that CPUs require more cooling in the first place. Despite the fact that it runs really hot with the stock cooler, I run my Titan RTX that was able to cool with a 120mm AIO. No problem. My Threadripper, on the other hand, couldn't really cool itself on a 120mm AIO at all. Same thing, especially with the Intel X299. You're not really cooling that very well with an AIO or even just a custom loop with 120mm. And so my custom loop has I want to say a 240 and a 360. And even then, my CPU still gets a little hot because the GPU is dumping all of that heat upstream to the CPU. It doesn't get throttling hot or anything, but because it's eating all of the heat from the graphics card. But that's when you need all that space. When you're just cooling a single component, you don't really need a whole lot of radiator area space.